Today's video kicks off an awesome series in Los Angeles. I traveled from Chicago in search of some of the best aquarium content possible, and this trip did not disappoint. We're going to show some of the coolest fish rooms, fish houses, display tanks, and tons of awesome cichlids and rare fish in this series, and we're going to kick it off with a great local fish shop. We landed in Los Angeles and we are headed to our first of 4 different stops on this trip. I cannot wait to share the full series with you. The first stop is a local fish store. Some would call this the best fish store in all of California. Very excited to check it out. It is CK Fish World. Let's go. Hey guys, I am here at an awesome local fish store that I've been recommended many times. This is CK Fish World in Los Angeles. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so we are here with the owner of CK Fish World, Peter. Thanks so much for having us. You have an awesome store. You want to tell us just a little bit about it?
We've been in the new location for about 2 years now. I took over this business in 2002, so I've been doing it for quite a while. It's a huge upgrade over here in the new location. We have more space, we have more inventory. We pretty much specialize in everything aquatic. You know, we sell a bunch of aquascaping material, a bunch of plants, shrimps, crabs.
Yeah, and you said this is a bigger facility than your previous one. It looks like you have a lot more space to keep stuff.
Yes, so when we moved in here, we tried carrying a bunch of stuff, non-aquatic, because it was such a big location, but we pretty much got rid of everything except aquariums and very little reptiles, like more of like polydarium style, like tropical, like dark frogs and chameleons and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have a lot of great examples of polydarians. Also, the aquascapes behind us are amazing. So do you have a team that like helps maintain this, or like what's the inspiration here?
So basically, yeah, I mean, I traveled the world looking at different aquascapes. We started the planet tanks and the aquascaping probably about 12, 13 years ago, a little bit ahead of people. You know, it's grown tremendously over the last few years. But yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of aquascapers come in and do some of these tanks, you know. Yeah. Some of them famous, some of them just regular hobbyists, you know. But yeah, we pretty much do water changes every week. We clean the tanks daily. And we do new setups. So we're probably going to take this down within the next couple months and do something new, you know, just because we like things like exciting. And new,
yeah.
You know.
And I feel like this just provides a lot of great inspiration for people if they come in and see what can be done, and then they try to do something like it at home.
Oh yeah, so many people, the planet tank hobby has grown so big, you know, so.
Yeah, and you have a good mix of that, but also what I especially love is the Cichlid Selection. So we walked through the store earlier and you have a great selection of cichlids. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you've always had?
We try to have a lot of everything, but it's not like if you want to get special goldfish or special cichlid, there's more stores that specialize in that niche, but we like to cater to everybody, so we have a good mix of everything, you know.
Absolutely, and with this big space, I think you achieved that for sure. And we're going to go around and film some more of the specifics, but also I wanted to ask, is everything online to order, or most things, if people wanted to?
We just started out online maybe about 6 months ago, so yeah, if you need anything, our website is pretty up to date. We ship fish, plants, dry goods, and if we don't have anything, you can always special request and we can put it on the website also.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend checking out their website, which will be down below, as well as the address to the shop if you're ever local to Los Angeles. But yeah, Peter, thanks again for having us. We're gonna go check out some fish.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Each row is kind of categorized, and I see that they have a lot of cichlids in this row. You could definitely get all you need for an African cichlid tank here with all the different sizes they got. See a lot of yellow labs and iridises, some OB peacocks, which are always a great staple. And over here they have some small arowana, some small Oscars, flower horn, a viejas and spilum with really good size, probably sectioned off because of aggression, I would guess. And then a couple really nice looking silver arowana here. And something that struck my eye earlier was the RTMs, the red tiger motas. So I have the dovai at home. This is a very closely related species, the red tiger mota. They don't get quite as big as the dovai, but they get awesome color, some yellows and reds, so I love those guys. And down here are some small red terror cichlids. Kind of a trend I'm seeing is they have a really good selection of cichlids, some that aren't as commonly kept. The red terror, anytime you see those at a fish store, you know it's a good one. And these are smaller specimens, which is kind of how I like to pick out fish, is getting the small ones and then growing them up into their full size and maturity. They're in this tank with some more commonly kept cichlids, the Jack Dempsey, one of the all-time favorites of the cichlid bros. And I also saw some butter coffery, which are also very small right now, but will really grow to be big cichlids and one of the most aggressive cichlids out there. In this tank you have some tiger moray eels, which I've really been interested in lately. They get really big and colorful and just are a very unique oddball in the hobby, and I think at some point I would love to keep them. They also have them in a tank with a few other eels, but we're also going to see on this trip some big display tanks with some fire eels, so I don't want to give too much away on that, but really like the tiger moray eel. And then up here, these look like some really good quality frontosis along with some Tanganyikan fish, so it looks like they have everything you could want. They have some Juliidochroma species, which is another hint to an upcoming tank I'm going to be building. I really love the Juliidochroma species from Lake Tanganyika, and they have a couple different species here, including the ornatus. They also have in that tank some black calbus, which is a really unique looking fish from Lake Tanganyika, so you could definitely set up a really cool smaller Lake Tanganyikan community with some of those fish. Some more African cichlids, and then they also have some shell dwellers which come from the same lake. They have those with some smaller frontosa right now. And these are some of those Juliidochroma I was talking about. This is a different color, a little more yellow to these guys. These are the Malarii, if I'm saying that correctly. The ornatus is another one that I really like, which has some more yellow and black splotches. Really unique shape to them, kind of torpedo shaped, but a really cool species. And then this is a fired up male red top hongi, which is an awesome mbuna. Alec would love that guy. I'd probably pick him up if he was here. So really cool species. And then this section isn't technically labeled cichlids. It does have angelfish and discus on the label, but you can see they still have a good selection of cichlids, including some electric blue Jack Dempsey, some really nice school of black phantom tetras here. They always look so cool when there's a big school like that. They have your kind of staple community fish also in here. Some really good looking angelfish. You're going to see a lot of really nice angels throughout the store. They have a couple really cool display tanks with angels being showcased. You have some really nice clown loaches, really good size on these guys. Some sebrums, one of my all-time favorite cichlids. More angelfish, some koi angels. And yeah, as you get closer down this way, you get more and more cichlids, including another one of my favorites, the electric blue acara, and they have a lot of those. A really good selection with more clown loaches, even bigger ones in that tank. They also have some smaller electric blue acara and some more angels, so you could really get a good mix of South American cichlids. Some of my favorite combinations of electric blue acara, the sebrum, the geophagus, and angelfish. Those four kind of together usually seem to work really well, and they have some really nice geophagus here, some gold sebrums as well. The geophagus I saw over there were a really good size to them and quality, the geophagus arenamensis. Looks like they also have a couple baby walrus in there, which is always a unique find at a fish store, especially when it comes to cichlids. In this tank they have a couple really nice green phantom plecos. I have a pretty big one in my plywood aquarium. I also sell some sunshine plecos, some snowball plecos, so a really good selection of some of the exotic types that get some really cool color patterns to them. You got your Corydoras, your standard community fish all throughout here, very heavily stocked, so that's always really cool. The one thing I really liked about all these sections were the end caps had some really great examples of really nice aquascapes with the fish that you might be buying in each of those sections. So you can see right there, there's a really nice planet tank with some neon tetras. They had another really good planted tank in the other aisle, which I really liked. But even better were those aquascape tanks on the other side of the store. And right around from those were the true end caps, which were some really good quality discus. So if you're ever in need of discus, this is a great spot to come. They have a wide variety, a lot of good color to them, and pretty good prices when it comes to discus. So I think your bang for your buck when it comes to discus is really good here. I also saw a really good sized keyhole cichlid, and if I was shopping here for myself, I would probably pick him up today because I love the keyhole and you don't see him at that size very often. So we're in another section here, and again, this is more like the community fish, but they still have some cichlids and some oddballs that I really like. Really good looking discus, albino bristlenose plecos, which I love. Even the guppies here I like, but you know, I'm more of a cichlid guy, so I probably would stick in the other sections, but there are just a lot you can get at this store. These are two of the big end cap tanks with really nice looking discus here. Really good quality and size for these guys. So down this first section here, we have some Provenza cichlids, some purple emperor tetras, some cherry barbs. These are some smaller ones. I have cherry barbs in my 40-gallon tank that are a little bigger and colored up, but these are some really good quality, and I really love these guys. These are the Pistogramma cockatoides. Sometimes they're called the orange flash because of that fired up tail and dorsal fin that the males get, but these are an all-time favorite of mine when it comes to dwarf cichlids. So you could get some of these for a smaller tank, maybe like a 20-gallon tank, and get a pair and have some awesome behavior and color patterns to them. Definitely love those guys. And then you have blue angelfish right next to them, and sometimes they can kind of go together with the Apistogramma and some of those dwarf cichlid species. I also saw the Bolivian rams down there, so that combination could work for mid-sized to smaller tanks depending on the size. And you also get really good cichlid behavior, but they don't bust any tank size or get too aggressive. We got more discus and angelfish, and then we have a whole rack behind me of really good quality shrimp. And then all along this wall is their plant selection. So you got pretty much everything you could want here from a planted tank setup, which is great because of those really nice aquascapes they had displayed. You can pretty much get all of those plants from those tanks and pick them out right here. So I really love when stores have great display tanks because it gives inspiration for people to do it on their own, and it can kind of teach people what they can do when they're just looking at a bunch of random plants, how they can kind of bring them together and make a really cool aquascape. So this is one of the coolest sections of a fish store I've seen. This is kind of a nook or a corner around from the main section where they have some really nice aquascape tanks, really cool setups and displays that can provide inspiration for people. You know, just starting here with some really nice aquascaping and rimless tanks all along this corner here. You have the rasboras that are really nice red in color. That's a nice complement to the big plants in this tank. And then you also have a pair of angelfish in one of the setups here. So they showcase the angelfish in a couple tank setups, which I really love. I've always preached that angelfish in a nice planted aquascape really can't be beat, and that's a really good example of that. They have a couple tetras in there, it looks like, as well, right next to another really nice display tank with some red plants in here, which is pretty unique, and some carpeting plants as well. Pretty lightly stocked with fish, but you got an algae eater, it looks like, keeping everything clean. It's just a really nice tank. But then over here are three other tanks. These are kind of lower tank setups, but heavily planted with aquascape coming out, which I really like. The really nice Kessels providing really nice lighting to all these planted tanks, and of course you have the fog effect, which is very unique. And all these have some carpeting plants, and each section is kind of different and unique, but also flows and kind of goes together. So really like what they did here. Also, right up at the front of the store was the other example of the angelfish in a beautiful planted aquascape. It was more of a rectangular shape than the other cube that we saw, but the angelfish just looks so good in there. And you get the behaviors of cichlids, but you get the peaceful nature of the angelfish and a really cool aquascape. And over here is one that's definitely stood out, being the Cichlid Bros. We got a really cool display tank with some big African cichlids, some peacocks and haps. Got a really nice rockscape, but not too much to take away from the open water swimming behavior of these fish. But really nice OBs and peacocks, and a few haps I believe are in here as well. I see a really big OB peacock in the back, and these guys just always greet you at the front of the tank. They're super active swimmers, and this is just a really good example of what you can do in a big African tank community. And then back here are a lot of tanks that you can buy, some of those rimless tanks that they had displayed. But one of the coolest things I saw in the store is definitely this section here. So we get asked all the time, where do we get the driftwood for our aquariums? Well, usually it's a local fish store like this. We're lucky to have one up near us in Chicago, but if we're in Los Angeles, we would be coming here because they have massive pieces of driftwood, all different types, stocked all the way to the back. And you could basically get anything you could ever imagine for your tank and your aquascape right here. And they also have rocks and all that to go along with it. So really cool to see a fish store having such a good selection of driftwood. And then also at the front of the store, there's a couple of smaller aquascape tanks, which I really liked. And then next to those was a pretty unique aquarium that had some jellyfish. So kind of a unique setup. You could, I don't know, maybe have this on your desk at home, but just watching this was pretty mesmerizing. And they also had a pretty big saltwater selection. I really loved the panther grouper especially. They had some cool looking powder blue tangs, which is one of my all-time favorite saltwater fish. And we don't highlight saltwater quite as much as other people might, but this section of the fish store was definitely something we didn't want to just gloss over because they had some really good specimen in here. So if you're looking for saltwater, you could go there as well. Also, I knew this fish store was legit when I saw this. Okay guys, that was an awesome local fish store. Our first stop here in Los Angeles, but it's only gonna get better from here because tomorrow we are touring an incredible cichlid facility and cichlid house. So stick around for that episode. Can't wait.